Hi, so welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. I was just watching Russell Brand's videos on Ukraine and Russia. I'll put the links below. It won't let me save them to Companion the Pursuit of Truth at the moment for some reason. They're quite interesting. They're similar to the things I've been saying here about trying to look at both sides of the story and actually not demonising the Russian people, which seems to be, well, that seems to be a lot that's happening. Like with, I get with the economic sanctions and stuff, but with Nike and Disney and stuff like that, how does that affect Putin or his top people? I don't think they'd be too worried about not being able to see the latest Disney movie by a pair of Nike trainers. I think the people who are going to suffer are the Russian people, who, majority of them, like in like me, say for example, during the Iraq and Afghanistan war, I was against my government. So if the same kind of level of sanctions had been put towards UK and the West, then I wouldn't be able to watch this, that, and the other. When I'm not against the war as it is, so I think they've got to be careful about ostracizing ordinary people, which I suspect that's. I mean, maybe they're hoping for an uprising, but I doubt it. But it's good though. I mean, it's good that at last human beings have seen, like these journalists and politicians, they're all talking about war, how bad it is, the humanitarian crisis, helping people out, refugees, migrants, all this stuff is all, everyone standing by, or a bit to the side, I should say, but everyone knowing how bad war is and how evil it is, and already within 8 days they're investigating war crimes. I just hope this is a future looking people, that when the West goes and invades a country like they did in Iraq and Afghanistan and commits war crimes like they did, which Julian Assange and WikiLeaks reported, and I think at the time even it was reported, and I hope that when the future comes and America or the UK invades a country that wasn't aggressive against it in the first place, so therefore not defensive war, which I think is the only legitimate possible war you could have. I hope then that the same journalists and the same politicians will be disagreeing with those kinds of actions. Because I do wonder, like, it's easy when it's your enemy doing these things, because to the West, Russia and North Korea and places like that are considered the enemy. You only got to see the multimedia and the way journalists use the words that they use about Russians or Chinese, when they don't use the same kind of phrases and sentences, or when the Russian Prime Minister was talking today, I thought it was quite interesting, the arguments he was giving. I thought they were better than Putin's arguments about historical things and things that happened at Minsk, and Western pressures on Russia to do with NATO and stuff. And just the journalist said, "Well, he doesn't live in the same world as us," type of thing, and they didn't even bother. I was thinking, like, if you're a good journalist, he's giving all these allegations, like allegations of pathogen sites on there, they're doing things, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it does sound conspiratorial, but all this kind of stuff they're laying out. How can you just say, "Oh well, because it's Russia, we can't believe it. We're just not going to investigate. We're going to say you're crazy," which is what I thought they were doing. That's what they did. Whereas a good journalist should actually go through it and investigate it and say, "Wait a minute, are these things true or are they false?" But like I'm thinking is that because this is Russia, if China had done it or North Korea had done it, it would be the same. And maybe they are a little bit true about America running Europe, and then being European as well, a bit worried about that. Because if you see everything that's happened, the sanctions, everything that's happened that's come down on Russia so quickly, it does show a power. And I wonder if it had been the UK that had invaded Ireland or whatever, then would we have been given the same sanctions? No, we would have given a slap on the wrist, isn't it? Nothing would have happened. Or what we would have done is we would have done it cleverly. See, that's where Russia went wrong. They should have gone to the UN and moaned about this Minsk thing and the problem of NATO, and tried to get more on the media and galvanise public opinion before they started this kind of action. That's what the West does. It does it more cleverly, more subtly, making you believe that what they're doing is the right thing when they invade a country and make up their weapons of mass destruction, or they were somehow to do with the 9/11 attacks. So I do wonder whether the anger of the West onto Russia economically and etc. so damagingly, removing them from SWIFT and all that. And I agree. I don't believe in war. I don't believe in what Putin's doing is right or whatever. But what I'm saying is, if it had been one of the good guys, as it were, would Russia been able to do the same thing? Would they be able to get America? Like, if Russia really hated Iraq and Afghanistan war, would they have been able to get SWIFT to remove America from, or cut off all their banks? Would they have been able to get Europe to do that? So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not really a level playing field, and America does have an advantage in the world, also with its media, and everyone has American products, everyone watches American things. So the American sentiments of anti-Russia, those countries that are always anti. I just hope that, because to me it feels like being back in the Cold War. I remember when I was young, I was scared of a nuclear war. I remember when the wind blows, it scared me, and thinking I have to hide under tables and all that stuff. It seems like we're going back to the Cold War, and I just hope that once Putin is toppled, which I hope, and Ukraine is given back their freedom, that Russia isn't someone takes over Russia who can be more pro-West, and we can actually get on with each other, and stop, because this is all about, this benefits the system. This fighting is like a football match. It makes you wave your flag and be patriotic, even though then you realize, wait a minute, who are you waving the flag for? You're waving the flag still for the same elites. It doesn't matter, maybe just one elite's doing more or worse than the other, but it still doesn't solve the problem. The system that has caused this war, the system of cutting up bits of land, of dividing us all, rather than seeing us as one human species, as we truly are, and working for the benefit of mankind. Anyway, that's what I want to say. Take care, take it easy, best, and peace.